Welcome back, guys. This is MB Tech, and what I'm going to be doing is actually installing a Raspberry Pi to monitor. Show you how to do that real quick. So we're just going to use a USB device here with a micro card in it, right there. And we're going to install the Raspberry Lite on there. Okay, first we need to install the OS onto the device. So we're going to need the Raspberry Pi imager. You can use other device or other software as well. Once the software loads up, you will choose device, and that we have a Raspberry Pi 4. Our OS, we actually want to do other, and then from other, we're actually going to select the Lite. And our storage is going to be the device that we are going to install it on, and then hit next. Next, we want to edit settings. Here we can see what we're going to call it. It's going to be Raspberry Pi 4 Mon. MB Tech is our user. Password, we're going to set our locale. Services, we are going to enable SSH, and then we're going to hit save, and then we are going to say, would you like to apply? Yes, and all stuff will be erased from that SD card. So make sure everything that you have is off from there, and click yes, and it's going to prepare that drive, installing the writing the image down to the SD card, and then we'll pop that SD card into the Raspberry Pi powered up and then install the software. So 1 second and we'll be right back. Okay, that image has now been put onto the storage device, the SD card. So we are going to remove that SD card and install it into our Raspberry Pi. Okay, we have our Raspberry Pi and we have inserted the SD card in there. So now we're just going to power that up. And while it's powering it up, I'm just going to bring back a cleaner way of getting an explanation of how this is all set up. So we've got the EliteDesk G2, we've got the Proxmox server, we've got the Ubuntu system VM that we've got right now, and then we've got Excalibur that we're using, Prometheus, InfluxDB, Grafana, how Influx is communicating to Grafana, Prometheus is communicating to Grafana. Prometheus is polling the Ubuntu server. We're going to have it actually poll the Raspberry Pi that's here as well. And then eventually we're going to set up this Telegraph server too. So we can pull some information from like a QNAP NAS or a Cisco switch or any of those other types of devices that use SNMP. It is possible to create a Docker, or there's a Dockerized Telegraph for the SNMP, but the bad thing is it doesn't have all the MIBs, and there's an issue, at least I've come across issues getting that installed. So I've just set up a separate VM to do that, and it'll relieve some of the stress on this other Ubuntu system. Now that Raspberry Pi has booted and is on the network, I made this a little bit bigger. Hopefully you can read this. So at this point right here, we've already installed the SD card, rebooted it, SSH into the box. We can use PuTTY for that, or you can use SSH from actually the Windows as well. So from there, we're actually going to do a sudo apt update. And that's just updating the repos that are on the system or available in this setup thing. And there's like 7 packages can be upgraded. So we're just going to do a sudo apt upgrade. We just want to make sure it's up to the latest and greatest. Might help if I spell it right. Okay, those have all been updated on the system. Just going to run quick clear. From here, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the Prometheus release site, and I'll put this in the notes where that's at. And this just came out, it's only 2 weeks old. And what we want to do is the ARM6, that is for Raspberry Pi 3s and stuff like that. We need the ARM7. So we're just going to right click on this. We're going to copy the link address. We're going to go back into our Raspberry Pi, and then we're going to say wget. That tar file, and then we're going to do a tar-xvf node exporter, and it has been set there. So there's our node exporter ARM7. Do an ls, and node exporter here, the one that's in green or highlighted, that's actually an executable. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to actually copy the node exporter to our user bin directory. So that'll be a sudo copy node exporter. user/local/bin. So that should be there. Next thing we actually want to do is create a node exporter service. Create a service file so this can get started. So we're just going to do a sudo vi etc systemd. I'll post that in there. Inside there you'll have the description, the service. It's going to be exec start where we copy that file, node exporter, and it's wanted by all those, and we're going to do a quick quit. From here we're actually next going to reload the daemons. Then we're going to enable. Next we're going to start the service. And then we want to see what the status is. And it says that it's active and running. To get out of this, you just hit Q. Everything looks like it's ready to go. Everything looks like it's up and running, which is good, 6 seconds ago. Once we started that service and stuff like that, we should now be able to go to the actual IP address, which we can go real quick to IPA, and we'll see that it's 192.168.10.171. And if you remember, we're actually listening on port 91. So if we go 192.168.10.171, 9100, it will show us this. We click on metrics, and there's all of our metrics. So now these metrics are on this Raspberry Pi 4, and they're ready to be scraped. And the way we scrape them is we actually do that through Prometheus. Now back on our Docker system, which should be this system right here, we're going to run the docker ps command. And now we're actually going to log into an interactive terminal as user 0, which is root. And we want to go to the Prometheus server, which is right here. This here. And we want to do the bin bash. This might be a shell. So, I'm sorry, it's shell. So once we're in Prometheus, we can see in our etc Prometheus, there is a Prometheus YAML. So we'll do a quick VI on Prometheus. And here we can see from our scrape, at the very end, this is commented out, but we're going to uncomment this. Make sure it's lined up. And this will basically turn on the scraping configuration to pull that information, put it into the Prometheus database, and then we'll be able to see that from our Grafana graphs. So we'll escape out of this real quick. We'll right click. We're going to exit out of the actual Docker container. We're going to need to restart that service. We'll just come up here, restart. Now that that's restarted, we should be starting to pull information so that when we go back to our Grafana graph here, since we've already got the node exporter full board set up, now if we hit the drop down, it may take a little bit of time, but there's Docker serve 3. Yeah, hasn't gotten it yet. The other thing is we can go to our Prometheus board as well. So that will be on 192.168.10.7.9090. We can see our Prometheus board. We can go to status, and we can see targets. And we can see that here's the Docker one that it's listed on, and then here's the target that we just added, and it was last scrape 12 seconds ago, and then how long it took to actually do the scrape there. So once we go back into Grafana, it may be there, and we'll see what happens here, but it should be pulling that and pulling it. And now we can see that it is there. Not a lot of data yet. That's just because it's been so new. We can scale this down to 5 minutes, and we'll start to see more information there. So I mean, it's only been up for a very short period of time. It tells us all the information. So automatically, it pulls that in because of that Prometheus. So we could add 10 servers, 100 servers, whatever amount we want to. We just need to add it to that Prometheus YAML file. that gets scanned, so that every time it scans, it's scanning all those different systems that are in there. And that's basically how to install the Prometheus exporter onto Node exporter onto the Raspberry Pi 4 and getting statistics from it. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed that, and have a great rest of the day.